I'm going to show how to do text, graphic images, and sound using 3D 360 video. So I've loaded my over-under 360 video in here, and let's start with text. So text is pretty easy. All you have to do is take your text tool right here. It looks like a T. Click that button so that that tool is active, and make your text right in the middle of the screen. Even though we want it to be on top and bottom, we start out by just putting it right in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to put this is some text right here. And once it's there, you can, if you want, click on your selector tool right here, and then a box is drawn around it, and you can drag the text bigger. You can move it around a little bit, whatever you want to do. There you go. And you'll notice in the effects controls right here, you have to hit the effects controls tab of the text. There'll now be a text window right here, and you can choose the font and the color and all that good stuff. Let's see, I'll make my fill color like, red or something. I guess I have to, there we go, it's red, okay. So I just made it red text. And you'll see that it makes a text layer on top of your video layer right here. Now, in order to get it to show up correctly in stereo, so it has to be at top and bottom, we're gonna have to go into the effects right here and open up video effects and go to the immersive video and grab the VR plane to sphere. So that turns any image into the right stuff for stereo. So VR plane to sphere, and just drag and drop it on top of the text layer right there. And what that will do is add a new menu bit over here, the plane to sphere, and you'll see that it didn't do it yet. It left it in the middle because it defaults to monoscopic. It doesn't know you're running in stereo yet. So you click that little menu right there and go to stereo over under, and it put it there. It's a little hard to see. It's red right there. If you want to get it larger, you have all kinds of controls here. And this is in the VR plane to sphere. So this is where you want to control that stuff. So scale, I'll move this up and make it bigger right there. And you can do other stuff with it as well. So we'll click the little ball tool right here and see what this looks like. So there's the text floating in the middle of the air right there. This is some text. I may want to make it smaller at this point because it's a little bit big. Okay, so this is how you could do titling. Pretty easy to do. Okay, now what about images? So let's say I want to put a graphic image, making it look like it's another picture on the wall over here. So it's fairly similar to text. And by the way, I can take this text layer and I can make it longer or shorter. I mean, text has no time, and an image has no time, so you can always drag it longer or shorter. Same thing with when I drag in an image. I'm going to drag in this image of Einstein. It's a JPEG, and I've already imported it. And I'm going to put that on top of everything else. So there it is, my image of Einstein right there in the middle again. Again, we start in the middle. Keep everything in the middle to begin. And now that Einstein picture also needs that VR plane to sphere effect to turn it into the proper 3D. So don't try and position it or anything just yet. Leave it alone. Leave it right in the middle. That's where it needs to be. Take the VR plane to sphere, drag and drop it on top of the JPEG. And you can see it's already done some changes to it, but we're still in monoscopic. And so we have to, again, go to stereo. And there it does it. It puts it in the right spot. And you're going to be tempted to just want to use your motion controls to move it over, but don't, because it won't show up properly top and bottom if you do that. I'm going to close those out. So just use the VR plane to sphere controls. You've got a rotate source, rotate projection, and you've got a scale. So that's really all you need to get it where you need it to go. So scale is going to change the size, bigger or smaller. You can see that it's doing more than just changing size. It's warping it to fit. And then I'll use my rotate let's try the projection first. I'll try the pan. Let's see what happens when I pan it there. I'm going to pan it over right there. And so rotating the projection on the pan is going to move the whole thing over. On the other hand, if I was to do it on the source, it just turns it, which is also useful because we do want to turn it. So I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to make it smaller still so it fits on the wall. And I'm going to rotate my projection again. So play around with these, rotate sources and projections until things start to look right. And there's that tilt right there. Maybe make it go up a little bit and tilt it right there. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. Let's just see what it looks like in the ball. Here's the text again. And there's my image of Einstein on the wall. So that's how you can put an image. You could also do this with video, by the way. If you have just like regular single channel video that's not in stereo, you can drop the video as a layer right here and do the same thing. Just put the plane, the sphere, and set it up the way we just did now, and the video will show up just like that as well, and it'll just play along. So that works just fine. Now, what about sound? So generally speaking, like here's the sound channel. If I click on the sound channel, you'll see that it has volume and channel volume and panner and all that kind of stuff. Let's open up volume right here. It starts out level as 0 dB, so that means what it came in. When you're using the camera microphone, it's often not very loud. It's a good microphone, but it's not very loud. So an easy way to get it louder is simply to crank it up. Here's at 0 dB. You can go all the way up to 6 dB. So you get significantly louder. And sometimes that's good enough. Sometimes that's all you need. Now you'll notice that the clock is on, which means it's animating. And because I just went up to 6 dB right here where the playhead was, it made it go up to 6 dB. I'm going to open up the level right here. It's starting it there. So if I want to, I can move the playhead, and let's say I want to do a fade out or something like that. I can go to minus whatever, infinity, I guess. You'll even see it on a graph right here, and it puts the marker right there. And you can move the marker around. You can move these markers around. And by the way, again, I'm getting these markers visible with the graph just by opening up the level right there. And if you want to start all over again, I can go back to 6 dB or whatever it is. It's minus 103 right now. Or I'll start at 0. You can just turn off the clock, and that'll get rid of all your keyframes. You can start all over again. And then if you want to do any animating of the level, again, just turn on the clock and make your markers, and that's what it'll do. So cranking it up to 6 dB will help. Now, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it still needs to be louder still. It's still not loud enough. So in the effects now, you can go to audio effects, and you got a whole slew of them. I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff you can do. The first or the second one right here is amplify. So it actually puts on an extra amplifier onto your sound. So just grab amplifiers on audio effects, just drag and drop that to your sound channel right here, and that will then in the effects control give you an amplifier right here, making it even possible to get louder. And I'm going to hit the little edit button in the effects control, and that is going to give me this new interface, and I can crank it up like to 50 dB, which is 48 dB, I guess, which is going to be, too loud. It's going to cause distortion. And that's the thing about this amplifier. You got to be kind of careful with it, because it will get so loud it'll cause distortion. It'll just overdrive, and it'll just sound like crunchy popcorn or whatever in your headset. So you don't want to do that. So just kind of be careful. Maybe you want to only go to, say, 12 dB or something like that and see if that's loud enough. And you can just play it through the open air speakers on your laptop or whatever and see if that's loud enough. If you want to do any mixing you can do it graphically like I was just showing. You can also open as a window, you can open up the audio track mixer right here. And that's another way of doing this. And so it gives you these faders. And every time you have an audio track, it'll automatically assign to a fader. So because I only have one audio track, audio 1 right here, this is the only one that's active. Okay, so that's going to correspond to your effect control. So those are all the ways to do sound. So now you know how to do text, graphics, and work with the sound in stereo 360 video.